Hi everyone and welcome to class. If you are new to this channel, I'm Chidi, the founder of Genjes Kato. I would like you to be part of this family, so please click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. So without wasting much of our time, we are going to do this bustier that you can see on the screen. And here I'm going to use the African print 1.5 yards. You can see the measurements on the screen needed and also the tools. I went ahead to draft my basic torso foundation. I drafted it in this tutorial, but I have to remove it because it made the tutorial so lengthy. But on my description box, I am going to put the link so that you can check out the torso foundation drafts. So right here is the complete torso foundation, and I'm measuring the under bust, which is 3 or 3¼ inches from the bust point. Or you can still measure it from your shoulder when you are measuring your client. So here I have marked the under bust and I'm drawing a line across, just as you can see. I'm taking 1 inch and 1/4 inch respectively from the sides. Yes, just watch carefully and you'll understand every bit of what I did. I'm connecting this to the dart leg on the waist. That is what I'm doing right here. See how I connected this mark that I took here. See how I blended it to the dart. Be very, very watchful so that you will understand. Now I'm using my armhole curve to curve this into the bust point. Okay, make sure that there are no sharp corners. Make sure that everything is blending smoothly because there are no sharp corners on the body. Make sure you smooth everything so you look very smooth and nice. The next thing is to measure my neck drop. I want to make a sweetheart neck. I took 6 inches there. I'm using my hand to curve it. If you're not okay with your hand, you can use your curve. I like using my hand first, then using the curve to blend it in. I'm trying to check here whether it will expose the bust, but no, it didn't. You check this by measuring at least 3½ inches from the bust point. So if what you are marking is within 3½ inches or more, it will not expose the bust. But when it's less than 3 inches, it will definitely expose the bust. So feel free to do you. Right here, I'm trying to smooth the neckline. I'm now marking to do my over bust tightening. That is what I marked a point. I choose a point there and I'm connecting it to the bust point. I'm trying to mark it clearly so that you see very well what I'm doing. Then I'm going ahead to mark 1/2 inch on both sides of this line that I took now. And I brought in my armhole curve to blend this to the bust point. Watch closely to see what I am doing. It's very easy and I know that you will understand it perfectly. I've blended this in. Very beautiful. So that is how to blend this line into the bust. So where I'm marking now is where we'll be going out after the pattern making process. So right here I'm extending the shoulder tip further. I'm extending it further by about 2 inches. I extended it by 2 inches. Make sure it's straight with the shoulder line. So I marked also in by 1½ inches. You can still make it 2 inches. So I took 2 inches from the shoulder tip and 1½ into the pattern. And I'm connecting it as shown. This is how I connected it. Watch closely to understand. This will form the sleeve. This will form the sleeve. I'm tightening the shoulder right here. So I took 1/2 inch there and I'm connecting it to that mark, just as you can see me do. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this so that the sleeve will just sit properly on the shoulder. If you don't do this, it's not going to sit properly on the shoulder. So watch me cut out the pattern. Please do well to watch the torso foundation. I'll be linking it up on the description box so that you don't get confused at any point, please. So I'm cutting out the sleeve right now and I'm labeling it sleeve I'll keep it aside till I'll be needing it. So right now I'm going to use this front pattern to manipulate and get the back. But then you can still just make your back pattern. Everything is in the torso foundation that I will be linking up in the description box. Everything is there. So go ahead and see it so that you don't get confused at any point. You can use your back pattern straight to do what you want to do. But right here, I want to just use this front and get my back. I'm pinning it down right now. Watch closely to see how I use this front to get my back pattern. So right here you can see my waistline. I will go up by 1.5 inches. Watch closely. I'm going up by 1.5 inches. That is the waistline of the back, because the back half length is shorter than the front by 1.5 inches. I'm also going now up from the hem by 1.5 inches. So that's just it. And I'm going ahead to trace this. Watch closely to see how I am tracing this pattern. Watch closely. I'm tracing it. I've gotten to the waist. Yes, I'm measuring the hip, and to make sure that the hip is also the hip of the back. Very important, because this hip had to align with the front. That's all I did there, and I connected it to the waist of the back. Now I'm tracing the center back. Please, I'm tracing this without zip allowance. I intend to add zip allowance when I am cutting. This is how I like making my patterns, but if you're okay with adding your zip allowance, you can go ahead and add. I'm tracing the rest of the parts. I just want to trace it exactly. I'm also marking where the sleeve will join, because I like putting notches on those points. This will make your coupling very, very easy. I'm going ahead to unpin the front pattern. I'll keep it aside and continue with the back pattern manipulation. Here I'm drawing the waistline. I hope you understand the hemline. This is the waist that I'm drawing now. Beautiful. I'm trying to make it visible so that you can see it very well. I'm also making that zipper side visible. I did not add any allowance. I like adding allowance as I cut. So I don't add any allowance, including zipper allowance, when I make my patterns. But if you are not okay with this, go ahead and add your zip allowance or any other allowance if you prefer. Now I'm doing my back tightening, and that is 1/2 inch there. I'm taking 1/2 inch on my center back. I've gone ahead to add back the 1/2 inch by the side. Ensure you do this. This entails that your zipper lies very flat. Ensure you also use the back length and the front length pattern of pattern making, because this will avoid seeing bulges when you finish your pattern. See how I'm connecting this to the blouse, hip, and also the upper side of the pattern. Don't worry about the straight line formed. It doesn't matter. By the time you finish the dress, it will come out perfectly. This depends on what the person's measurement is like. I'm going ahead to mark my darts, the middle of that point. Anything you get there, divide it by 2 and mark. Also, don't ensure that your dart does not get to the armhole. Drop it by 1 inch and ensure you take that line. Yes, I just want to note the line there so that my dart doesn't extend past that 1 inch below the armhole curve. So I've drawn a straight line. This is where my dart will lie, and I'm going ahead to connect the 1/2 inch I marked on both sides of this center line to the upper side. I will also go ahead and connect this to the downside of this pattern, just as you can see me do. Okay, so right now I'm going to change the neckline of the back, because I want it to have a different neckline, like a V for the back. So I've marked it down. I went down by 1/2 inch on that center back, and I'm connecting this straight like a V to the back. Notice that I started this from where the sleeve started. I did not enter the sleeve part. Please note that. You can see the points I marked for the sleeve. Now I'm extending my darts to this V neckline that I just marked. This is to avoid gape. Yes, to avoid gape at the back so that my back will just sit very properly and fine. So this is usually done when your back neck is a bit low. I'm cutting out my pattern to get ready to cut it on fabric. I'm labeling my pattern back, front, and all. I like labeling my pattern. This helps you avoid confusion and mistakes. So I've labeled center front, center back, center front, center back, side front, side back. I'll go ahead and also cut this open into two, trimming off my darts. I'll trim off the dart because I don't need it anymore. So I'll trim it off because this pattern will be cut in pieces and this dart is not needed. That's the back. I'm done with the back. I'll go ahead and also cut the front. If you're enjoying this tutorial, guys, don't forget to comment or like. Just feel free to react to this video. This helps me to know what you think about the video. So right now I'm cutting out my center front and I'm going ahead to also cut out the side front. As you can see me do, I'm trimming off everything I don't need, the darts, the tightenings. So that brings me to my center front and then my center back. And here is the sleeve. So we are going to go further and manipulate that sleeve that you can see there. I'm pinning together my front pattern and also my back pattern. Okay. Good. Right now I'm going to manipulate my sleeve. I'm going to draw slash lines. I'll draw slash lines and then manipulate it. I've kept a paper on fold and I've placed my sleeve on it. I'll go ahead and draw the slash lines so that I will slash and spread to get exactly what we need for the sleeve. Do exactly this and you will get these clothes exactly the way you can see it on the screen. Don't miss any step, don't miss any part of this video so that you don't get confused at any point. So I'm going ahead to spread it. I spread 2.5 inches. Go ahead to spread more if you want the sleeve to be fuller than what we have. Okay, you can spread more. So what I used was 2.5 and I'm trying to trace it. I pinned it down, traced it out and cut it out. That's all I did here. I've unpinned and this is what we have. I marked my shoulder side. Yes, I want to know the side that will be closer to the pattern so that I don't get confused when I am joining this. I like marking my patterns a lot. This makes your coupling very easy. Observe how I notch and I label patterns. So this is our complete pattern. I'll go ahead and also cut these on fabric. Be watchful to see how I did everything. So here, this is my beautiful Ankara print already on fold. I'll go ahead and use this and cut out the pattern pieces. Please be watchful, guys, so that you don't miss any part of it. I'll go ahead and pin this down, pin the side, and cut it out. I'm treating the front pattern first. So this is my side. I will close up the side burst dart now. Watch and see how I close it up. So after closing it up now, you will agree with me that this side is now rhyming with the side back, because it's this that is the difference in their sizes. So I've pinned it down and I will go ahead and cut it out, as you can see me do. I'm cutting it out with 1/2 inch allowance. That is what I use to cut this pattern out. So when I cut it out, the lower side has 1 inch and the joining part has half inch. Just watch how I cut. I'm notching the underbust, the waistline, the bust points. Please make sure that you notch these parts. Watch my allowances as I cut. I'm going ahead to mark my bust points on the bust, where my sleeve will be, my waist. Even the allowance I took, I like marking my allowances. Yes, I'm marking my allowance now. Watch me. Yes, that is what I just marked. I'll go ahead and put a notch on all these points. This way, coupling this cloth is so easy and smooth. I will advise that you join me in doing this so that your experience in sewing, I believe it will be a different one. That is if you don't already do this. Okay. So right here, I've finished with my cutting. I'm just marking the back side because this pattern, this print is a bit confusing. So I do everything I can to make my stitching and stabilizing process very easy. So I mark the back so that it won't confuse me, the front and the back side, since the print of the fabric is this way. But if it's not confusing, you can go ahead and omit this stage. Now I've come to the back side. I'll be pinning it down and then cutting out my back pattern. Watch the way I'm doing this and how I'm cutting it out. I'm also marking my waistline and every other thing I need to mark, and then I will notch. I put double notch on this side. Watch that. I will tell you the reason later. I've also put my notch on the other side, that is on the waistline. I'm going ahead to also mark my allowances. Yes, I like doing this, guys. I like doing this so that my sewing will be very, very easy. Okay, this is nice. Beautiful. I'll also go ahead and cut the remaining side back. I'm trying to put my Ankara print in place and then I will cut. Okay, so I'm pinning this down to be so that the pattern piece will not move as I cut. So I'm going ahead to cut. Watch how my allowances are, just 1/2 inch where it is joining to the center back. This is my armhole. Also watch how I'm going to notch everywhere, including where the sleeve will attach. This is the sleeve point. I notch everything. I notch. I'm a master notcher. Don't mind me, guys. I notch so that for any reason I won't be like, where will I be putting this or where will I be putting that? Everything is there. So no confusion. Try this and thank me later. I notch and notch and notch everywhere possible. Right here, I'm done with this. See, I put my double notch there and there. Good. That is why I put that double notch there, so that I will know exactly the part that is matching. This is especially important even in Victorian corsets. If you don't master the skill, coupling some plenty pattern pieces where it is involved will be very difficult and confusing. Okay, so my bustier pattern is complete. Right here, I'm about to cut the sleeve. I folded and folded again because I want to do self-facing for this sleeve. See what I did is already on fold, okay? See what I did again? I folded it this way. I hope you understand, okay? I'm trimming off all this excess, okay? So this is what I have and I'm folding it again. Watch carefully, yeah, that's what I did. Watch carefully. So I'm folding it again. I couldn't avoid that paper there, so I just have to go ahead and use it. But after I'm done, I will remove the part. I'm going to extend this sleeve further. I just felt like doing so, and I have cut it out. I just added about 1 1/4 inches. Here I have 4 pieces. Yeah, I have 4 pieces of this pattern. 2 will serve as the make fabric, while the other 2 will serve as the lining. So this brings me to the end of this pattern making process. I want to say that in the next tutorial we'll be joining this. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.